That?
Well, let's not go into that.
But there's been a bunch of them up to this point.
This is third generation.
Okay.
Okay, and the first one was called the S2. So don't ask. Leica's numbering scheme on this model is a little wonky. Okay, but that's neither here nor there. This is the new S that was introduced. We saw it at Photokina in September of 2014. It's now August of 2015. Thank you very much. You know, as the brain cells are the first
yes,
to go.
I understand.
And my understanding is that, well, this will be online once the embargo is off and the camera has been announced as shipping, which will be at the end of August.
So we're seeing a preview.
Well, yeah, this is, I've been doing some beta testing for Leica. This, in fact, is not a full production body. I've only recently got firmware 1, you know, it was 0 something before this. But nevertheless, I'm not going to discuss image quality because it is a pre-production camera, but I will say it's pretty terrific.
I presume it is.
It is great. Now, the thing that is special about this is a CMOS sensor. Previous camera was a CCD. And this has live view. So turn the camera on, and first thing that needs to be said about the S is big, brilliant viewfinder.
Well, it's just like, you know, there's no difference between...
Yeah, it's a gorgeous
And
viewfinder.
it's not an electronic viewfinder.
No, this is
reflex.
this is an SLR.
SLR still.
Okay, but you press the silver button, and you now have live view.
Wow, and that's a pretty good live view, too. Look at
Yeah.
that. It's a bright screen.
Yeah, not bad.
Oh.
Now, it's not articulated,
No.
which is one of my complaints. Let me also deal with other complaints, and these will be in my written review. This camera has always had an extremely simple interface. 4 buttons.
Wonder where they got that from.
Well, no, let's be honest. Phase 1
They worked with
introduced
them,
this
yep.
design. The companies actually worked
I think they
together.
worked together on this, yes.
And I like it. It's very simple. There are no markings. It doesn't even say custom 1, custom 2. There's just upper left, lower right, and you just have to start memorizing. And when you press it, there are 2 functions. There's the function that the camera thinks you want because of the current mode you're in, and then a second press brings you into a customizable function. So you can set that second press to be any one of a number of different things.
Oh, well, that's pretty clever then. So have you set anything particular?
So for example, this upper left button shows you a screen that has all of the different
all the display items.
all the items that are there.
Yeah.
And then you press it again, and I've programmed it to be ISO. Okay? Now the problem is, when you go into live view mode, it takes on other characteristics, which can be a little confusing. One of the new things that they have is this little thumb joystick, this little nubbin. And I've programmed it in live view to be the focus button. So I like to decouple the shutter, and so this can be programmed to be the focus button. Otherwise, it also becomes the scroll through menus button, although you can also scroll through buttons other ways. In Leica are brilliant designers. This thing feels like
the look of it, the lines, it's just elegant.
It's so elegant, yet it's a little bit counterproductive. Because I want a camera. I love, for example, the Pentax 645Z. Z.
You have that.
I own one, right, with six or 7 lenses. And it has, by count, actual count, 25 buttons on it. But every one just does one thing. And it's obvious what that thing does.
So you're accustomed to it.
And you get used to it very quickly. And being able to do anything like change focus modes, change metering modes, change shutter release modes. There's a button for that, to coin a phrase. Here, you have to do menu diving. And so that's one of my real complaints about this camera. The other is, feel the weight. It's heavy.
Yeah.
Now, it is what it is. And there are people...
Feels good.
It feels wonderful. It feels wonderful. It's like it's the camera equivalent of an S-Class Mercedes, okay?
Yeah.
And that's no bad thing. But it's big, it's heavy, and expensive. And while we're talking of S-Class Mercedes, it's not quite that expensive, but the body alone is about $25,000 US, and this lens, which is a 30-90, is about $10,000 US. So I'm holding here $35,000 worth of camera. And whether it's worth it for any particular photographer, simply a matter of between you and your financial advisor, which may be your husband or wife or accountant.
A good salesman will give you a number of ways to justify the purchase.
Right. But there is absolutely no getting away from the fact that this is a brilliant camera in many ways. Oh, yes, and of course, it's got 4K video.
4K video. It's the first because it's
yeah.
got the CMOS.
4K video, live view, built like the proverbial brick outhouse, aesthetically wonderful, not quite as terrific when it comes to the user interface as I would like it to be, but I'm very impressed.
But this is typical Leica, and I have a lot of friends that have Leica cameras that just love these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose, if you can afford it, it's a great, nice camera to have. I mean,
absolutely.
And
I would not argue that you not buy an S-Class Mercedes if you can afford one. Wow, good for you. Same thing with this camera.
All the cameras, and we'll have a discussion about this. There's a lot of capability going on these days. Anyway, this is a beautiful camera.
Yeah, isn't that lovely?
And it just feels good in your hands. Simple. There's nothing on the back that kind of jumbles up, and you can't. At least this is one camera where I can put my thumb here, and I'm not like triggering something off or taking a movie by accident. So, yeah, it's a cool camera.
Yeah, it's minimalist.
Yeah.
There's a sort of to coin a phrase, a Bauhausian minimalism to it. Form follows function. And this is absolutely form follows function. Maybe a little too much for some people, but it's impressive.
Let me ask you a question, though. We've been shooting a lot with the new Sony a7R II, the 42.6 megapixel. And I've had the Phase 1 with me. And I think both of us over a meal have said somewhere along the line, God, the images are great, but you can really tell it when it comes from a bigger chip.
And we're going to have a conversation about this elsewhere, in another video. And people are going to say, Kevin,